Hi guys, it's Ty and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be talking about 5 books that just include some really messy friendship groups. And it's just to the point where it's like, with friends like this, who needs enemies? It's so bad to the point where it almost has me side-eyeing my own friends because I'm afraid they might turn out like some of these friends in these books. But I decided to do this video and I've chosen these 5 books because they just were the first 5 that came to mind when I came up with this idea. So I'm pretty sure that I could do more, but at this point, like I said, I'm just gonna stick with these 5. But I'm gonna try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. Otherwise, I do kind of have these split up into different groups. So I have 2 books that focus on specific friend groups, and then the other 3 books are just 2 friends. So we will go ahead and get started. So the first book that we have here is We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz, and this is a adult mystery thriller suspense novel. And so we follow Emily and Kristen, and at the beginning of this book they have taken a vacation over in Chile. They are on the last day of their vacation. Emily goes back to their hotel room and Kristen is in the room covered in blood after she has taken some guy back up to the room that they had met at the bar. Kristen claims that she had to kill this guy because he had tried to attack her. Emily, in her mind, was like, dang, didn't we just do this? Didn't we go through the same thing in the last vacation that we took? She just sucks it up and helps Kristen dispose of the body. They get rid of all the evidence and then they just go ahead and head back home to Wisconsin. While they are in Wisconsin, Kristen does everything she can to keep reminding Emily of what just happened. And Emily, all she is trying to do is just move on and forget everything that just happened. They also can't really move on that much because the parents of the guy they disposed of has put out this alert for everyone to look out for him because they are trying to give a reward for anyone that has any information because they are doing all they can to find out what happened to their son. So in this story, we are following Emily and Kristen as they are trying to forget what they did, but we are also following Kristen as she is trying to make sure Emily remembers what she did. As far as this friendship goes, it's not the best. In the beginning, it seems like Emily and Kristen were the best of friends, but that friendship after this last trip is doing nothing but deteriorating. So when they get back home to Wisconsin, Emily has started a relationship. She's really happy in this relationship, and Kristen obviously is single and she doesn't know how to handle that. And she is doing everything that she can to insert herself into Emily's life. And that is also causing some tension between Emily and her new man. And Emily is not really feeling that. Also, Kristen is being really possessive and she is wanting Emily all to herself, which is kind of weird because Emily is in this relationship and she don't have time for you, which is a huge problem for Kristen. We also learn in this book that this isn't the first time that Kristen has done this to a so-called friend. We get some backstory on how Kristen has ruined another friendship. These are red flags being sent up all over the place in regards to Kristen. We also find out how I said that Kristen keeps reminding Emily of what they just did in Chile. And not only what they just did in Chile, but that other thing that happened on that other vacation that they went on. So it's kind of like she is trying to have this hold on Emily so that Emily will always be there. But if anything, it just seems like that's drawing your quote unquote friend away. And then we also learn at a certain point in the story that Kristen is doing a big no-no in a friendship. She's starting to try and blackmail Emily. I don't think that's going to win you any brownie points in your friendship. So it seems like this friendship is going in the pits, if you ask me. So I'm not too sure that this friendship between Emily and Kristen is going to work out. But I guess you'll just have to read it to see. So next up we have The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. This is a adult mystery. It's told in 2 different timelines. So in the past, it's in 2017. We follow this mother who is looking for her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend who went missing. So that's Tallulah and Zach. They were a young couple. I think they were around 19 years old. They are new parents. Tallulah just had a son, and one night they decided that they just kind of wanted to take a night off. You know, they're getting used to being new parents, and so they go out for some drinks with some friends. And when Kim wakes up the next morning, she realizes that her daughter has not come home. She also has found an engagement ring that Zach had, and so she's really concerned because, you know, there's Tallulah and Zach who are really in love with each other. They really love their son. Why didn't they come home? So an investigation was started. They were never able to find Tallulah and Zach. And so then we jump to the present timeline, which is 2018. This crime writer moves into a cottage that is in the same location where Tallulah and Zach have gone missing. She finds a sign that says "dig here," and she does just that. She digs there. She finds a piece of evidence that is in connection with the disappearance of Tallulah and Zach, and she starts getting wrapped up in the investigation of trying to find both of them. And so we just flip back and forth between 2017 and leading up to the night they disappeared, and then 2018 with this writer looking into trying to find Tallulah and Zach. But in those 2017 timeline chapters, we do get snippets of Tallulah's perspective where she gives some insight into her relationship with Zach and how he was just not this perfect guy and how he didn't always treat her right. And they had this on and off relationship. And we learned that she ends up befriending this girl by the name of Scarlett. And that's where the friendship comes in, because Scarlett was very different from Tallulah, and I believe that's what drew Tallulah in with Scarlett. So we know the backstory of what's going on in this book. So now we could talk about Tallulah and Scarlett. So Tallulah and Scarlett, like I said, they are complete opposites of each other. But like I said, I think that's what drew Tallulah to Scarlett. But Tallulah was very hesitant on whether or not she was going to let her in to what was going on in her private life. And what I mean by that was she wasn't really sure whether she was going to let Scarlett know that she had a son and that she had a boyfriend. Eventually, she did let Scarlett know that, and she let her know what she was going through with Zach. And Scarlett just acted like she was going to be there for her, and she understood what Tallulah was going through, and she was just going to be that shoulder that she was going to cry on. And then Scarlett slowly started to let Tallulah in and let her know some of the things that she was going through, some of the issues that she was having with some of the teachers on their campus, because they went to college together. And so they just became like the best of friends. Once Scarlett started to see some of the things that Tallulah was saying about Zach for herself, Scarlett said that she was going to help Tallulah with her issue with Zach. So that's where we started to see the manipulative side of Scarlett. And you started kind of seeing that anyways, but it really started to come out when Scarlett decided that she was going to help Tallulah with her issues with Zach. Scarlett turned into this manipulative person. She was this person that was all about herself. She only cared about how she was going to take care of herself, while making Tallulah think that she really cared about her. Scarlett knew that Tallulah had at some point developed feelings for her. In some ways, she led Tallulah on as though she felt the same way, knowing that she didn't. So she was just using Tallulah. And all this time, Tallulah thought that she should have been looking out for Zach and that Zach was the problem, when in reality, the one that she should have been looking out for was Scarlett. The person that harmed her the most, the one that was not in her corner, like that she thought was going to be there, was her quote unquote friend, Scarlett. So if you want to hear more about this friendship, I think you should probably pick up this book. Next up we have is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. And this is a adult fantasy. And this is first off, this is one of my favorite books. And this is told in a really fascinating timeline because it goes back and forth with like the past and the present. And the timeline is like all over the place, but it really works. It's not confusing, but I really love this book. Anyway, so this one follows two characters by the name of Victor and Eli. And they start off as friends because they attend the same college and they are roommates. And while they're in college for their like senior research project, they decide that they want to do research on EOs, which are extraordinary. So people who survive near-death experiences. So these people who survive these near-death experiences, they come back to life with these supernatural abilities. Eli is the one that's like the lead on this project, and he decides that he wants to create some near-death experience and come back from it so that he could have some sort of power. Victor wants to get in on this. They do it. Story is basically a timeline of them trying to kill each other because Victor was sent to jail by Eli because someone that had helped Victor with his near-death experience died, and he was sent to jail. And once he was able to get out of jail, he is now after Eli for revenge. So that's what the story is basically about. But in regards to their friendship, I would say that between Eli and Victor, I'm not really sure that they technically were friends to begin with. These are what I would call frenemies, because at the beginning of this story, we learn that Victor was in this dorm room first and he never really wanted a new roommate, but then Eli came in and he was like, okay, I'll accept this guy, because he saw something like a little dark in Eli. So he was like, I'll deal with this. But he always had a little jealousy with Eli because everything just always seemed to come a little easy for him, but not so much for Victor. So Victor was always jealous of Eli. I don't need friends like that. I don't want some friend that is like secretly jealous of me. That's a recipe for disaster, hence this book. So after they became these EOs, they're trying to like one up each other, and Eli sends Victor to jail because all of a sudden Eli has gotten this ego over Victor. Now they want to kill each other. Go figure. And these are supposed to be roommates, friends, guys that got along. They worked on this together. What the heck happened? Like I said, with friends, who needs enemies? This was a great story. If you really want to know the ins and outs of this friendship, I suggest you pick this one up. So the next two books I'm going to talk about, the last two books I'm going to talk about, they involve a group of friends. So it gets even messier when it's more than one person you got to worry about. It's a whole group of them. So first up we have is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. So this one follows our main character by the name of Anna. And when she was in college at Oxford, she had helped put away this guy in jail by the name of John Neville, because everyone had thought that he was the one that had killed her college roommate by the name of April. Now in the present, it's been years later, and there is this big story that has gone out that has said that he has died in prison from, I think, like a heart attack. But a journalist reaches out to Hannah saying that there is this new evidence that has come out that suggests that John Neville may not have been the one that killed April. And so now Hannah is starting to question what actually happened the night April died. But then we also get some flashback chapters in the past of when Hannah and April became roommates, of when Hannah met the other people in their friend group, and the events that led up to the night of April's death. So in regards to her friends, April, she was the it girl. She had everything. She had the looks. She had the money. She was smart. She had all the guys looking at her. She had all the girls wanting to be her friends. She was the it girl, but she was also considered a prankster. So these group of friends, there were 5 friends in total who at some point April had pissed off with one of her pranks. So it was no surprise that at some point while they were in college, they probably all had a motive to want to hurt her friends. But are they wrong? Because April was supposed to be their friends. So why are you pulling these hurtful pranks on your friends? And then are they wrong for wanting to have a reason to harm you? I guess you would just have to find out. Did one of her friends hurt her? Or was it John Neville that hurt April? Guess you have to read it to find out. And last up we have In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And this is an adult psychological thriller. So this one follows our main character by the name of Jessica. And in the present timeline, Jessica gets this invitation to go to her class reunion. And when she arrives at her class reunion along with her other friends, there were 6 of them that were reunited at this reunion. We find out that their friend Heather was brutally murdered while they were in college. And these friends were reunited at their reunion by Heather's brother, Eric. And he got all of them together at this reunion because he wanted to know which one of them was the one that really killed his sister Heather. And so in these flashback chapters, we find out how these group of friends got together. We found out the dynamics of this friendship group, and we find out which one of them actually played a part in the killing of his sister Heather. Now, this friendship group was a literal mess. They all had some issues, particularly our main character by the name of Jessica, the main one that we are following. In the present timeline, she was really insecure back in college. And in the present timeline, she has been trying to quote unquote work on her confidence and work on her looks so that she can show off to everyone. But that is not the person that she was when she was in college. It seemed like the girls in this friend group were all had this underlying jealousy of Heather. And then the guys in the friendship group, they all had their other issues going on amongst themselves. They all had some secrets and demons and things that they all had going on. This friendship group was a mess. None of these characters were likable. They all had their flaws. It had you questioning whether or not these people actually liked each other. At some point, it all seemed like they all betrayed each other. They might have been dating one person but sleeping behind each other's back. They were swapping boyfriends after they got out of college. There was just jealousy among each other. They were holding grudges with each other. This friendship group was a hot mess. I would not sleep with both eyes closed with these people if I consider any of them a friend. I really kind of felt, the only person I felt bad for was Heather and Heather's brother, because he had to figure out which one of these wackos killed her. I guess you have to read this one to figure out who was the worst friend. They're all bad. So I guess which one was the worst one out of the group. So those are the 5 books that I feel have some really messy friendship groups, and I'm sure you will see another video like this at some point. So please let me know down in the comments if you agree with these choices, or if you have any other books that you know of that have some really bad friendships. Good books, but bad friendships. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.